Okay guys, hi, how you doing? You may want to have your unit circle and maybe your reference chart available while you're doing this lesson, and you also may want to print the classwork for today while you're doing this lesson. At the top, these are just the directions that you have on your worksheet for today. So it's just find all the values of theta such that theta is between 0 and 2 pi. That's all that means. So it's on the unit circle. There are 4 things on your homework you need to look for today. You need to find the reference angle, the quadrant it's in, you need to find the angle in degrees, and you need to find the angle in radians. Okay, the first thing I'm going to have you do, and it might be helpful on your homework too, is we're going to go to quadrant 1, and you can do it on your reference chart or on your unit circle, and we're going to write the exact values, the ordered pairs, for these degrees in quadrant 1. You can do it off your unit circle, or you can do it off your reference chart. So I pulled up my unit circle real quick. So I'm going for 0 degrees, I'm going to write the ordered pair. For 30 degrees, I'm going to write the ordered pair. Those are called the exact values. This is going to help with what I'm going to teach you what to do today. I just wanted to show you where I got it, and that's why we did the unit circle for today. So for 0 degrees, the ordered pair is 1, 0. Maybe I have to get a new pen here. For 30 degrees, the ordered pair is radical 3 over 2, comma 1/2. For 45 degrees, my favorite one because it's so easy to remember. And then for 60 degrees, remember you just switch the order right there, so it's 1/2 radical 3 over 2. Radical 3, look, I almost did it again. There's a 3. And then for 90 degrees, remember you go straight up, so it's 0, 1. Okay, so what we're doing here is I have the sine of theta, and I want to know all the values for sine of theta when it's positive 1/2. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the reference angle for sine of 1/2. Well, if I look here at what I wrote to help me out here, 1/2 for sine, remember this is cosine, this is sine. This is real important. Your x values are cosine, your y values are sine. And if you see here, there's only 1/2 underneath sine right here at 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is your reference angle. So my reference angle has to be 90 or less. So that's the first thing you would answer. So my reference angle is 30 degrees. That's my reference angle right there. So that's the first thing you need to do, is find your reference angle. Now this is going to be a little bit different. This is something different. Where is sine positive? Because there's more than one quadrant where sine is positive. And that's why I drew this little thing over here. Remember, all seniors turn crazy, crazy happy. So sine is positive in quadrant 1 because all trig ratios are positive in quadrant 1, and sine is positive in quadrant 2. So for my quadrants, you have 2 answers. So I'm going to put quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Hopefully on your homework you label 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's my answer for my quadrants right here. So in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, my sine is positive. So now that I know my reference angle, I'm going to find out my answer in degrees. Well, okay, so in quadrant 1, where is 30 degrees? This is why I wrote this over here, so I could show you a visual, and you may want to do it for your homework. Well, 30 degrees right here in quadrant 1, if that's my reference angle of 30 degrees, well, it's 30 degrees. In quadrant 1, it's going to be 30 degrees. And then if I go to quadrant 2, well, quadrant 2, here's my x-axis. All right, well, let me go 30 degrees off my x. That's terrible. That doesn't look like 30 degrees. Well, if this is 180 in degrees, how much is it 30 degrees off my x-axis now? Okay, well, what's 180 minus 30? Well, so this would be 150 degrees. So from here to here, this is 150 degrees. So I know, and you can check me out. Look at your unit circle. I know the ordered pair here that my sign over here would be a positive 1/2. So that's what you're looking for. But we're not going to go through all this work and do the ordered pair. So you can check it out. So where is sine positive? Sine is positive over here, because this would be 1/2. And sine is positive over here. So in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, my sine of 1/2 right here is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 at 30 degrees and 150 degrees. Now they want to know the answer in radians. Well, if you fill out your unit circle correctly, you can just look. You can just look on your unit circle. If you did not do your homework, remember how to multiply this by pi over 180? You can do it that way too. Or you can do this. All right, so 30 degrees was counting by 6. This is 1/6 or pi over 6. So there's the answer for the first one in radians. Okay, well over here, this is pi. Remember, 180 degrees is pi. Count backwards. If this is 6/6, going backwards, this would be 5/6 pi. Or again, you can do the math. You can take 150 degrees and multiply it by pi over 180 and simplify. So there's answering number 3, what's my angle in degrees? This is answering what's my angle in radians. Okay, so you may be a little confused on the first one. So let's just keep going and hopefully it'll click maybe on the second one. All right, so number 2, cosine of theta. All right, so we want to know the reference angle. We can forget the negative for a minute. For radical 2 over 2. Well, radical 2 over 2, if you go back to your unit circle, radical 2 over 2, look, for both of them, your reference angle is 45 degrees. I don't need to worry about the negative just yet. So 45 degrees is your reference angle. So that's the first step. You find your reference angle. So my reference angle is 45 degrees. That's your reference angle, step 1. Now step 2 is, where is cosine negative? Okay, well let's go to all seniors turn crazy. So cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and quadrants 3 because it's positive over here. So I know my cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and quadrants 3. Quadrants 2 and quadrants 3, my cosine is negative. So I like to help myself out. So I'm going to go and I drew a little visual for myself. So on this little visual, I'm going to go, okay, let's go to quadrant 2 first. Okay, so I want to find my degrees. So if this is 180 degrees, remember, what's 180 minus 45? So this would be 135 in degrees. So that's in quadrant 2. All right, now we need to go to quadrant 3. What's 180 plus 45 degrees? And I'm going to get it right today. 225 degrees, not 215 like I said yesterday. Jeez Louise. Okay, so that's in degrees. That answers question 3. Now let's just change this to radians. So when we do 45 degrees, we count it by fourths. So over here, this was 1/4, 2/4, 0 fourths, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Or remember, pi is 4/4, so you go backwards, 3/4. So this would be 3/4 pi. Again, pi is 4/4. I'll write it here for you. So if that's 4/4 pi, what would that one be? 5/4 pi. So 225 degrees is the same thing as 5/4 pi in radians. Or again, you can take 225, here I'll write it here so if you don't remember, and multiply it by pi over 180 and simplify the fraction. That'll change it from degrees to radians. Or, hopefully again, you did your unit circle. Okay, so let's go to number 3. I gotta move these steps. Okay, so number 3 says tangent of theta equals 0. Oh my goodness. Well, if you look at your chart, tangent of theta equals 0, That's at 0. And so really, there is no reference angle, and here's why. To get tangent, it's sine divided by cosine. So let's think about this. So if you looked at your reference chart or you look at your unit circle, there is no tangent. If you remember, this is 1, 0, and this is negative 1, 0. If I take sine divided by cosine, that equals 0. If I take sine divided by cosine, that equals 0. That's how you get your tangent. So there's my answer. So there is no reference angle because it's right here on the x-axis. So there is no distance from the x-axis. So there is no reference angle. There is no quadrant because it's on the x-axis. So it's like a quadrantal. So there is no quadrant, there is no reference angle. So then what's the degrees? Well, right here, what is that degrees? Right there. That is 0 degrees. So it's 0 degrees. Well, what's the degrees over here all the way over to this direction, from here to here? Well, that's 180 degrees. But you actually have 3 answers for this one. What is it if I go all the way around? Now we're at 360 degrees. So the radians for this one is now 0. The radians for 180 degrees is pi, and the radians for this one is 2 pi. That's kind of a nice, easy one. And I think I have time for one more, which is good. So on the last one I want to do tangent of theta equals negative square root of 3. So let's do this one real quick. Hopefully I can squeeze it in and I don't have to stop. So my reference angle, if you look at your unit, you can't. You would actually have to look at your chart for this one. So on your chart, I'll just tell you this one. The tangent of negative radical 3 is 60 degrees. That's positive. And where is tangent? Negative. So I'll draw this real quick for you. So tangent is negative in quadrants 2 and 4. So tangent, so this would be my quadrants that this one is in. So I've got my red quadrants here. Now let's go find it in degrees. So if I use this and I go, okay, in quadrant 2, if I go 60 degrees from the x-axis, remember this is 180, what's 180 minus 60? So this would be 120 degrees. And then if I go to quadrant 4, what is 360 minus 60 degrees? So this one would be 300. And then I want to change it to radians so I can multiply it by pi over 180. So if I multiply it by pi over 180, or if I go backwards and go, okay, so this is 6/6, or we could do it, yeah, this is 6/6. This ends up being, I'm just going to tell you the answer because I'm running out of time. Correct. So this would be 2/3 pi, and this one is 5/3 pi. Sorry, I'm running out of time. I got to beat it so I don't have to make 2 videos. Okay, meet me on Meet. Hi, peace out.